Greg Jennings, 10 years in the NFL, Pro Bowler, Super Bowl, two-time Pro Bowler, a man of the people, is just talking about the Southwest Airlines companion fare. Companions fly for free. He is a man of the people. And you fly Southwest to Kansas City.
All the time. Earl's sister, LaToya, is a Southwest Airlines flight attendant. She's great. And
well, I got to admit, I don't fly Southwest. I just know about it.
How do you? Well, who do you fly?
I fly Delta.
How do you exclusively fly only one airline? How does that work?
I don't. We do a lot of Southwest and we do a lot of Delta. Delta, right. I have the same Delta flight I take. I'm taking it today. The same flight, the same time to the same place all year.
Well, yeah, I mean, because you go to the same place a lot. Like, that makes sense. But, like, if you have to fly around the country, don't you have to take the best flight at the time
I always
that's available?
did. I always did. I took the best. But I'm a Delta guy.
Yeah, man. Once you get those medallion status and platinum, it's like you can't beat it.
So if you have to get somewhere and the only flight available was on a certain airline, you're not going to fly it?
No, I will, but my preference, if there's a Delta option, I'm taking Delta.
Well, that's understandable.
Delta pilots are former military guys. Like those guys can go loop-de-loops around mountains. Those are Delta pilots are good pilots.
Honestly, I don't know that type of intel.
I don't have that intel.
By the way, what do you make? You were a grinder. You didn't go to like Texas and Alabama. You were a grinder. What do you make about these guys not wanting to play in the preseason anymore? You okay with that?
I am because I was a grinder, but no one wants to play in the preseason.
You didn't like it?
No, it's just because when you're a starter and when you've proven yourself in this league, and I know teams always go into the regular season saying, or training camp saying, everybody's vying for a spot.
Yeah, right.
And that's a bunch of baloney. But when you've proven that you are who you are, it's like I don't want to risk my body and injury for a game that means nothing.
Yeah, I get it.
So covering the Falcons last year, I went to training camp and I was talking to the head coach, Quinn, and he was telling me about how he approaches his guys. And Julio Jones and Devontae Freeman, those are guys that he's like, they're not playing in the preseason. They're not going to take a snap.
Yeah.
But I trust the way they practice. They practice hard. We practice at a pace to where I can make sure I see what I need to see, that they'll be ready come week one.
By the way, it's just like parents. I would trust my daughter right now over my son with money. That's not that I say I don't trust my son, but even with parents, there's certain kids you trust in certain things, ages, maturity levels. It's the same for a coach. There's some guys, veteran guy, he'll come in shape, I trust him.
Yeah.
Jimmy Johnson didn't treat Troy Aikman like he would treat other players. Like there's some guys that earn respect over years, like Julio. He comes to camp in shape. I don't need snaps in preseason games.
Absolutely.
By the way, it's funny about the Browns. So the Browns have a very good roster. Nobody's disputing that. They're really young. The youngest team in the league. Go back to your career. Mm-hmm. Go to the oldest team roster you were on. Go to the youngest roster. Give me the advantages and disadvantages to being on a roster like Cleveland, super young, really talented.
Well, for the longest period of time, my time in Green Bay, we were the youngest roster for like my first 4 years. We had the youngest roster in the National Football League. Because of that, it was kind of a roller coaster. But what I noticed was we had no care of the moment. It was we were going to be who we were. We didn't care what everybody else was saying because there was this level of unknown. We had a couple guys that had done it, but we didn't have enough of those guys. Where it tended to jump on us was in the waning moments of the game. We lost a ton of close games those early years. We didn't know how to finish.
Yeah, why would you?
Because we hadn't been in those situations. We hadn't gained that experience on what it takes in the fourth quarter to close out an opponent, to shut the door, to put the nail in the coffin.
That's where New England's so good.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
they
where
understand how to finish and close games.
Right. No, there's no question about that. That's, I don't see Cleveland as a great team this year. I think they're a great young roster, but I think it's very fair. I do see them in a bunch of close games against the older teams, the Rams, the Steelers, older teams, and there is an advantage there. Okay, so yesterday, the NFL.com, the players vote on the best 100 players in the league. Mm-hmm. And the quarterback list had Kirk Cousins above Cam. I don't. Baker above Cam. I get it. Goff above Cam. I do. So here is the order of players. Now, it's not 1 through 15.
Right.
So 15 guys made it. Dak didn't make it. Derek Carr didn't make it. I think Derek Carr's in my top 15. Bottom half, but I like Derek Carr more than most. Mariota didn't make it. Darnold hasn't done much, didn't make it. So it goes Breeze, Mahomes, Brady, Rodgers, Rivers, Luck, Wilson, Goff, Ben, Baker, Watson, Ryan, Kirk, Cam, Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz, a lot of injuries. I think he's better than that. Garoppolo's not in it either. If I said to you, there's one that doesn't feel right, which one would it be?
I mean, I feel like you're going with Cam.
No. That's me. I think Kirk Cousins is a little high, and Cam.
Personally, I would say the Kirk Cousins. For me, I don't see Kirk Cousins there. Simply because has he had success statistically? Yes, but he hasn't had the wins. And I think when you're talking about quarterbacks, we always put the win column attached to our quarterbacks.
Right.
How they won. And Kirk Cousins just hasn't been able to prove that. These other guys, Deshaun Watson obviously hasn't done it, Baker Mayfield, but they have that wow factor. They have that impact to where they elevate the guys around them.
No question.
They're not elevated because of the guys that you put around them. And I think that's where the Kirk Cousins and even the Dak Prescotts, they struggle to make a list like this, or they're on the back end of it because the guys around them make them better. And that's the Cam Newton one is surprising to me because I think he should be higher personally.
I always thought players loved him.
They do.
He's very Westbrook.
They do, but he takes us on a roller coaster every year.
Yeah.
From year to year, we don't know which Cam we're going to get. And it's kind of unfair because his personnel around him has always been inconsistent. There hasn't been this constant level of hear me out. Receiving core. They thought they had a number one guy. He ends up not being that guy. They ship him off to Buffalo. Then he's pieced together with just a group of guys, but it was just for a period of time. And so then they all spread out and go different places. So there's always been this revolving door of personnel that he's had to grow chemistry and a rapport with. That's been a little unfair. When you're thinking about a guy that holds that type of responsibility, you want to have staples around him, and I don't think the Carolina Panthers have done that. I think they're trying to get better at it.
When is he responsible?
He's always responsible.
What about Devin Funchess? What if he goes to Andrew Luck this year and has 80 catches?
Look, I was there in camp last year. I watched Devin Funchess. I watched the potential. I called the game against Atlanta Falcons. Devin Funchess had probably 3 crucial drops. I mean, in the breadbasket. And I'm not saying I never drop balls, but you do. Devin Funchess was not progressing into the player that we all thought and hoped that he could be for Cam Newton, and obviously the Carolina Panthers didn't see that either. And so you part ways. Can he continue to have a successful career? Of course. But a new scene presents new opportunities, and we'll see if it presents a new player in Devin Funchess.
Jay Glazer yesterday said in his mailbag that he hates the hot seat term for coaches, but Garrett's on it. Doesn't have it more than this year on his contract. When you were in the league, how was Jason Garrett viewed?
Kind of like how he's viewed now. He was a guy that was in a role that was just, he didn't have the leverage, he didn't have the power, he didn't have the say. He was just filling a role of head coach. Like every team has to have a head coach. Let's put Jason Garrett there. And so when I look at what Jay Glazer is saying, I agree. I believe he is on the hot seat. And it's because he's been there for so long and he's had talent. He's had seasons where he's had success, but it wasn't the amount of success that the Dallas Cowboys would say, applause. That's a winning season. Right. That's a win year. And so your leash is a lot shorter. And he's the only one that the progress, the development stage, it's over. Dak Prescott, you're still a young quarterback. We can grow with you. We're developing. We still trust that you're going to be our future. You look at a team in the Golden State Warriors with Coach Mark Jackson. I love Mark Jackson.
But they hit a wall.
They hit a wall. He could only take them so far. And then they insert Steve Kerr, and it's like, oh my gosh, look at this team. Well, Mark Jackson had the same team, but sometimes your approach, your scheme, the way guys start to buy in is different when you just plug in and take out one piece. And sometimes
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.